Okay, so that's it for today. So it looks like we had 5 cards. We had Deluge, which, I mean, okay, Deluge with Wildfire is pretty sick, right? We use Zap to draw the Wildfire. Zap is in Eternal. But Deluge is a little slow for me. I'm not really sure how good it will be. But maybe we'll see some play. I think this new elemental spell skill thing is very cool. Very excited for it. Wizen Helmsman seems okay. I like him in the ramp concept that I thought about. I don't really see much other use for him. But I do think that like ramp in Bilgewater, I guess, which sounds really funny. But you know, getting these 2 spells back for free, you know, like I said, you only have to ramp twice. You get this on 5, and that's not too bad. And then you get more ramp from this card, right? And then we have Vikrash the Exuberant, which I think was a pretty great card. It creates a slipstream in the top 6 cards of your deck, which is a draw 2, grant them fleeting. I think this is a really solid elusive card. I think it's going to really fit into so many archetypes, and it's going to see a lot of play. You know, Bilgewater does see a lot of elusive play, so this card, I really do think it's going to be a staple for the region now. All right, and then we have Formless Blade, which is the burst deal 2. Like I said, dealing 2 damage or dealing any amount of damage at burst speed is really interesting, and it's a dimension of play and a speed at which damage has never been dealt before, so it's really interesting to see that. And then we have Wildfire, the best card in the. This is all that matters. This is. Thank you, Deb. So just really quickly to go over all the cards that we covered today. So we went over Neela, the newest champion in the game. I think that she's gonna be pretty powerful. I think that she's gonna flip faster than people might expect. I'm not sure how other people are reacting to it at the moment, but I do think that the level up is going to be pretty achievable. I think that her spell, champion spell, Formless Blade, is very powerful. They couldn't have given her a better spell, especially with her level 2 effect. I think being able to deny blockers is always very strong. Evasion in this game is so interesting. So creating a brash mechanic, creating an opening for brash to kind of get through is really fun. And you know, maybe we'll see Jack coming online again, and you know, prize fight and King's Court and all that. Joy Unending, weird card, not really what I expect to see from Bilgewater. +1 at all allies. Feels very Scouts, very Demacia. I don't know. It's interesting. Heal damaged allies +2. Sorry, my chair's in the way. So those are the first cards, and then we had the Master Lookout, which is the 1 mana 2/1. 1 mana 2/1 is not even bad for the region, and then a 1 mana 3/2 Brash is crazy, you know. So I think that Master Lookout's going to be a crazy card, like meta defining, like, you know, aggro. It's going to be an aggro staple. Dedicant is really interesting. I think that Updraft is going to be a really fun mechanic to play around with, and I think it's going to give this sort of draw heavy play style a lot of, I don't know, it's going to be crazy. Drafting seems crazy, you know. You shuffle your hand back, and then, or you shuffle cards back and then they cost 1 less. I don't know, especially in an archetype that's running slipstreams. Come on, you're going to be drawing like crazy. And then you have the Tide Dancer, which is Neela's boat. It's always fun to get a boat. Comes down on turn 6. I think that's going to be a pretty appropriate time for Neela, and you know, has the fun effect of being your finisher for the game, giving all other allies +2/+0 Brash, and it can be fleeting, which is fun. I think that's a really cool effect that we haven't really seen on a card. So that is it for the reveals from today. Thank you again for joining me. Really quickly, we have Headmistress Telsey, 5 mana 5/5, allied attack and support effects activate an additional time. Kind of win more. Don't see it doing too much. Kind of, it relies too much on being ahead, so I can't see it be too strong, but we'll see. Hopefully it is. Really fun card. Obviously a reputation buff. Haha. And then we have Lonely Chime Slime, which is a 2 mana 2/3 for SI, which when it dies, it plants 4 chimes in the deck when it dies and when other allies die. Very good card for chime decks, but as I said, kind of counteracts itself a little bit in making its the allies that it's supposed to see die be a little survivable. And then we had Watery Grave, which is just a terrible bad card. 3 mana obliterate 6 from the bottom of the enemy deck. I just really don't like it. I don't find it interesting. I don't think it's fun. I think it's like it doesn't do anything for you, and then it does nothing for the game. You know what I'm saying? Make this toss 6. Make it toss 6 or something. I think that's fine. And then we have these 2 great elite cards. We have General of the Dunes, which is the Daybreak, or when you activate another Daybreak, grant the weakest enemy vulnerable. Fantastic card. And then we have Defenders of the Sun Disk, which is a 2 mana 2/2. When a Daybreak, draw itself. So I don't know, kind of little fun ways for Daybreak and Elite to enter Shurima. I think that is very interesting, very cool. We do see a lot of these kind of mix matching of archetypes. We have Chimes in Shadow Isles. We have support being referenced in Noxus again. We have Elite and Daybreak being added to Shurima, which is really fun. And then we have the funniest card of the set of this group of cards, I think, is Skip. The 2 mana 1/2 elusive. Pick one of 2 non-champion cards from the enemy hand and capture it. I just think that this type of engagement and this type of denial is sort of what the game kind of needs. It's a little bit more interactive in terms of disruption. So I do appreciate this card a lot. Bursting Backpack, 1 mana, plant 4 chimes, plant 4 puff caps, create another Bursting Backpack, and it kind of grows. I don't know, this card, maybe I'm just too Wildfire pilled, you know what I'm saying, but this one's not super exciting, and I don't think it'll be very good, unfortunately. All right, and then we got Gentleman's Duel, 3 mana fast strike for Demacia, which also gives your unit +2. I think this will be a very strong card, very good combat trick. I love it for Fiora, obviously. Very fun card. And then the last card is Capsize, the 4 mana Ionia Recall that also makes your opponent's plays cost 2 more. All right card. Obviously, not my style, but I do think it's a good card and solid for the region. But thank you again, everybody, for tuning in today. That was all for the card reviews. Just to do our quick review, today they released Janna, and Janna is the 4 mana 4/2 that turns into a 4 mana 3/5. When you player, you updraft 2 to draw 2 the next turn, and each turn, the first 3 times that you draw a card reduces cost by 1. And she levels up on seeing 6 cards. That she levels up when you've played 6 cards. 6 cost reduced cards? Huh? Play 6? Oh, sorry. I level up when I see 6 cost and I think about Jace and stuff like that. I've seen you play 6 cost reduced cards. They put the cost reduced on the bottom. Be a little bit easier for me to read, but having the 6 at the end would probably look good. But then she levels up and turns into Janna, which is round start draw 1, which is ridiculous, right? When you draw a card, reduce its cost by 1 this round. I think the payoff of a 4 mana 3/5 elusive that draws you a card every round is insane. This card, it's so good. It's so good. very powerful. Very powerful, very beautiful. Eye of the Storm, a whatever card, I'll be honest. I don't know. The draw 2 is probably good just because you need a proc Janna. And if you have a Janna on the field, like, because, you know, it's the Eye of the Storm, you'll get the discount. So it's probably really good as her champion spell. I don't really know how it is as just a raw spell, but I'm sure we'll see some play. But I think it'll see more play as like just her champion spell. I think it's an alright champion spell, for sure. And then we had Windborn Mariner, which I don't really think is a good card. I think it's pretty whatever. Maybe I'll be wrong. 0 cost cards might be good, so we'll see how that goes. And then we had Miriam, Temple Caretaker, which is pretty broken in my opinion. 2 mana 2/3 seems pretty strong, just as a body alone. And then the fact that it refills all of your spell mana is very, very, very powerful for sure. I think it's ridiculous. And then along with Miriam, the temple that she takes care of, I assume she failed because it's sunken. So, and then sunken temple at the end, the round end, you updraft your entire hand, and then the round start, you draw that many cards, which is really cool. You know, if you need a way to level up Jinx, right? Just kidding. And then we have Gale Song. Yo, sorry. I think Sunken Temple's pretty strong, for sure. I think it's pretty powerful. I think putting it at 5 mana is really good and might be the only thing keeping it from being too strong. But we've seen landmarks like Bar even being played at 7 mana, so who knows these days. And then we have Gale Song's Call, which was the 1 mana slow spell that summons a Gale Song Swallow, and Gale Song Swallow is a 1 mana 2/1 bird. And I don't know. I guess this because you'll have so much mana, you'll be discounting things. So having things at 1 mana will just be discounted to 0 mana very effectively. So maybe this card will be okay, but I do think it is very simple and very vanilla. It's all right, you know. I don't really get the combos with it yet. I don't see the full picture, but I think it's okay. And then we have Howling Gale, which was the 3 mana slow spell, and it dealt 2 to a unit, and it increased in damage by 1 for every card that you played up to 3. So it could be either 3 mana deal 2 or 3 mana deal 5. And I think that's pretty strong, especially with all the discounts that you'll be getting. You'll be playing so many cards every turn. I don't think it's going to be difficult to charge this card up. I think it's going to be devastating to a lot of threats, a lot of units for your opponent. So I think it's going to be really good. Alright, and then we have Divine Whirlwind, and Gale Song Flock, which were revealed the other day. So I'm not going to spend too much time. I think that Divine Whirlwind is going to be good. Really excited for that. Gale Song Flock is... I don't really know how I feel about these Gale Song Swallow cards. They seem really boring and vanilla. Not really interested in them, but I guess hopefully there's like some cool payoff or something. I don't know, some other synergy that I'm not seeing or that we don't know yet. It'll be really exciting. And then we have Yaskila, I don't know. Figurehead of the Deep, 6 mana 4/4 that doubles all your spells, your elemental spells and elemental skills. A little expensive, but very powerful. I think it'd be really cool. I'm sure a lot of people will be playing this. They need to make Decimate elemental. Okay? And we can play this, we can play Jace, then we can mimic Decimate and get 4 Decimates on the stack. Alright, guys? That's I'm telling you. Anyways. And then we have Exalted Cloudwinder. 5 mana 3/2 quick attack that discounts itself when you've drawn 3 cards or more and draws you 2 cards at the next round start. I mean, Drawing 2 cards at the next round start is pretty good. I think this card's actually pretty solid. Like, obviously, I said to make it an elusive because of the card art and what it is, but I think Quick Attack's okay. But I think they can make this a 5-mana 2/2 elusive and it'd be better and feel more appropriate. But I don't know. We'll see. Overall, I think that the Janna card package seems like it'll be very powerful. I think that a lot of people will be having a lot of fun with the new champion. Very, very hyped for Janna. Very hyped for Janna. And especially the new level 2 art, which is insanity. But yeah, very cool. Very excited. And very, very hyped for this new expansion. You know what? There should have been a burn option in here. Yeah, I said it. There should have been a burn option here. You know, we have a silence, defensive silence, you know, for enemy keywords. We have a equipment destruction. We have landmark destruction. We have healing. Where's the burn? Where's the burn? Explorer spell for burn. All right. Deal two mana, slow. Deal 2 damage to the enemy nexus. Come on. Come on. Easy clap. Easy clap. I don't know. These are all really cool. I really like this as a concept, and I love that these are being added to the game. I do think that the 3-mana 1/4 is probably super broken. Like ridiculously broken. I think these are almost all really, really strong. I think Scholarly Pioneer is very strong. I think Adventurer is very strong. I think Surveyor is very solid. Portal Pioneer is alright. And then Arm Acquisition is fine. I don't know. I guess they didn't really... I don't know. It's fine. Noxus has been one of the best regions for a very long time. So they don't need more powerful options. But these are really great. So... yeah. This weird episode today. You know, with like this little kind of small variety pack. But a very interesting concept. You know what I mean? And I think it's indicative of a game design direction that I personally appreciate and like. And so I found these to be really delightful and interesting. Yeah, so that's the cards today. We have these new Titanic cards. We have the Sigil. Looks like Volibear is going to have 8 attack or 8 health. You know, Volibear has to be Titanic, right? It'd be ridiculous if he wasn't. But let's quickly go over the cards again. So we have Valhyr's Prophet and Berserker Ursine, which both summon Sigil of the Storms. I think Valhyr's Prophet is a little expensive, but I guess because you're ramping into your really powerful units, I guess it should be. I think that card is whatever, but I think Berserker Ursine, the 6-mana 5/3 that summons a Sigil every time you play a spell or skill, I think that card is going to be ridiculous. And I think that we're going to see the potential to just get these big giant Titanic units down to costing 1 or 2, maybe even 0. You know, if you have like enough spell generation, I think it'd be really interesting. Obviously, it reminds us of the keg spawning Mirai. I forgot the... is it Playful Mirai or BB? I just know it as BB, so I only call her BB. But this card reminds me of BB, and she was pretty powerful when she first came out with a couple of other cards. So we'll see how this one does in regards to generating a ton of Sigil of the Storms for you to discount your big Titanic units. So Sigil of the Storm, I think, is a really cool landmark and a really cool archetype to create, right? It is a ramp, but for specific units. I think that Titanic is a very cool keyword, or not keyword, but a very cool way to title cards that have 8 power and 8 HP, and kind of keep it in theme with Freljord's affinity for 8 cost units. They have this 888 theme going on in the region, so that's pretty cool. And Then we had Rond, the Magma Serpent, the 7 mana 8/6 Titanic, you know, summon 3 sigils or offerings, but summon 3 sigils, so it's going to discount the next Titanic unit by 3 instantaneously. And I think that that is fine. Maybe it's pretty vanilla, so maybe it won't do anything. But we also have Herald of Celestial Convergence, the Titanic unit from Hargon, the Titanic bird, I should say, that costs 8 mana. It's a 5/8 that says, you know, it activates your allies Daybreak and Nightfall effects, just period, right? Which is crazy. And Daybreak itself, it gains Overwhelm. It grants itself Overwhelm permanently, and Nightfall grants itself Spell Shield permanently. I think that this card is pretty good, especially with any discounts with any board. This card is going to be able to have a pretty good effect, even if you're Nightfalling it for a 5/8 with Spell Shield. If you have discounts on this card, that's a pretty powerful unit to summon out any earlier than turn 8, you know. So I do think that this card is pretty powerful. We'll see how strong the Sigil package turns out to be with Targon, but obviously I guess we'll be seeing like a Targon Freljord ramp style of play again, something like Old Peak, I guess, with these big giant units being cheated out. And then finally we have Seismic Shard, which is the 7 mana elemental spell, slow spell from Targon that deals 7 to a unit and costs 4 when you behold the Titanic. I think this is pretty powerful removal for Targon, and I think that the region's already pretty decent right now, so we should probably see a lot of play if the meta needs to remove big chunky units. And I mean, like, it kills Rond, right? So it kills a lot of things. It's a pretty powerful health point, so very interesting for Targon to receive some more direct damage removal like this. But all right, that is all of the reveals today. Well, that's all the cards for today. Let's do a quick run through of the cards now that we reviewed today. Volibear's package, pretty cool. The Titanic champions and Titanic allies getting a lot more support, and you know, kind of fleshing out that package. I'm sure there are so many Titanic units that I'm not even considering that have existed throughout the game with 8 HP or 8 power. So really exciting to see what, you know, this pack, because I think this package kind of just slots in with whatever you want. Like, I could see this being played with Ornn, right? You don't even need to play Volibear if you want to play Ornn, but you can still run, you know, Berserker Ursine and get those discounts for your Ornn and other big cards. I think that's totally cool. So let's quickly run through the cards from today. So first we had Volibear, and Volibear was the 9 mana 10/10 from Freljord. On play, he's going to activate 3 Relentless Storms that deal 4 to a unit and deal 2 to the enemy nexus instead. So he's going to play 3 of those. And then he levels up once you've dealt 50 damage and the round ends. I think that that's not going to be a terribly difficult level up animation. I think he's going to be flipping pretty well, and especially with these discounts, I think Volibear is going to be threatening a lot as soon as he comes down. Like, that's like Relentless Storm is 12 damage to the board, you know, 6 damage to face. You love to see it. You love to see it. And then you have Volibear level 2, which gains Overwhelm and gives everybody Overwhelm. That's nuts. That's super nuts. I don't know. That's super powerful, right? I think that Volibear is what you want from a late game champion that's so big, is just to kill your opponent. Like, he does something on play, he does something on attack, he buffs other allies. Like, look at this thing. It's a 9 mana 11/11. You know, I don't think you're ever surviving if this gets any if this gets to live more than one action. You're dead. You're dead. Like it's insane. So I think Volibear is going to be a very good champion, very powerful. I think that he's going to open up a lot for Freljord and do very. He's going to contribute very heavily to this new Titanic play pattern and archetype that we're developing. I think that this is going to be super cool. Seeing a discounted Volibear coming down at 5 for 5 mana, that's going to be super crazy. And then you play this with Janna, right? And then you discount it even further. Man, see, Janna Volibear deck. There we go. Janna levels up off of the sigils. All right, and so we talked about Relentless Storm, the skill that Volibear plays. It's burn. It's burn. It levels up Jhin. It levels up Annie. That's burn, baby. You know what I'm saying? It's good. Then we had Volibear Stormbringer, the champion spell for Volibear. Deal 4 to all units except for Titanic allies. Like a big ol' avalanche. I pointed out earlier that it's kind of competing in a slot or in a similar style for Buried in Ice, but it is nice that this doesn't damage your own Titanic allies. Helping them stay healthy and staying Titanic if they only have 8 HP. So yeah, great. I mean, it's a pretty good champion spell. I don't know if it's a good spell overall, but I think it's a good champion spell. I think it's a good champion spell. It's fine. All right, and then we also had Clash of Giants, the 16 mana slow spell that says summon 2 random Titanic followers, and it costs 1 less for each elemental spell and each elemental skill that you've played this game. So I think that this card will be getting discounted little by little throughout the game while you're doing a bunch of other things, and then next thing you know, you're gonna play a 6 mana Clash of Giants and summon 2 giant finishers. I think this is a great finisher for Freljord. I think it's super fun. Obviously, it's really cool how they have given elementals and Titanics a sort of big finisher. Reminded me of FTR, but not as linear. You kind of have to work for it a little bit more with this one, right? But I think this is rad. I think this is really cool. I think it's gonna be fun with Targon's Peak and Eternal as well. Keck W. But cool spell, cool finisher, very cool concept. I think it's gonna be very exciting. Can't wait to see the highlights from this card. Then we quickly retouched on Berserker Ursine, which is probably going to be a very broken engine for the Titanic archetype. Just being able to spam out a lot of Sigil of the Storms and really start packing and piling on your discounts. I think that card is going to be pretty powerful, and we're going to see it in a lot of decks. I think we could even see it in something like Ornn, Jax Ornn. You just play this and then discount your Ornn. I don't think that maybe not Jax Ornn because there's not too many spells, but the fact that it works with any spell or any skill is pretty scary. I think that this card is going to be doing a lot of work in the first couple weeks for Freljord. A lot of work. This card's going to be busted. Speaking of busted cards, we also had Flamecaller Caprine, the 4 mana 3/2 tough that forges itself every time you play an elemental spell or elemental skill. I think that this card's gonna go crazy for Freljord. The fact that it just forges itself, so that means it's flexible. It's not just gain +1/+1, right? This can buff up a weapon, and if you're buffing up a weapon, that is long-term value, baby. Obviously, the game just got a lot more weapon destruction, but I think if your opponent is spending removal and spending time taking care of your Caprine, that just means that they won't have time to do anything about your Rond or anything about your Volibear. You know what I'm saying? I think Caprine is sick. I think Caprine is super sick, for sure. Alright, and then we had Rond again. The 7 mana 8/6, summon 3 sigils. Pretty good card. A little, just a pretty vanilla, Titan unit. Discounts itself and then helps you discount other ones. It nicely gets overwhelmed from Volibear, which is really fun. So pretty sick card. Pretty normal, pretty base. Maybe you could see it just getting cut from Titanic decks because you just don't really need 8/6, but who knows? Maybe this card will get discounted so well, and then the fact that it brings up 3 more discounts will also be good. So maybe it'll be fine. I don't think it's bad. I think it's just fine. We had Sky Splitter, The 2 mana burst spell, 1/3. Give an ally +1/+3 this round. Elemental spell. Really good combat trick. Really solid combat trick. I think it's really something that the region needs, you know? Every region just needs combat tricks at 2 mana. I think this is a decent one. It's an elemental that will proc your big finisher like Clash of Clans and, you know, activate your Caprine. I think that's a pretty good card, so it's fine. And then speaking of pretty good cards, just fine. We have Invocation of Thunder as our final card of the day, the 3 mana slow spell that draws you a card and also summons a sigil. So just a way for you to sort of ramp your big units with, you know, 3 mana is really affordable. I think 3 mana is super affordable. So I can really see this card seeing a lot of play now that I think about it. So. But that's it for the cards and for today. The Volibear package looking sick. Looking pretty cool.